Hello students and welcome back to the video lecture series of software engineering. Today's topic is project management concept. I am your instructor Ms. Shruti Rawal. So let us start with today's topic, that is the project management concept. So before going into the detail about all the project management concept, let us first learn the basic concept of project management, that is W5HH principle. Now you may wonder, ma'am, what is this W5HH? We will study shortly what is W5HH. As we proceed, you will get to know why this is the name, right? So because there are certain questions and the answer to this question will lead you to one of the project management concept or one of the software development life cycle concept, right? And the question starts with the letters, that is 5 questions start with the letter W, 2 questions start with the letter H, hence the name, right? So what is the first question to be asked? That is the first W. Why is the system being developed? Now, whenever you are developing a system, the first question that you have to ask is, why are you developing this system? So the answer to this question, what will it yield? Exactly, you will get the basic aim or goal, that why are you developing this system, what is the actual problem statement, and why is your system the solution of that problem statement, right? So we are getting the idea or we are getting the aim from the customer's view, or if you are yourself developing the product from your view, that why is this system being needed, right? Because if you want to sell the system, it is very important to know why are we developing the system in the first place. So that is the first question starting from W. The next question starting from W is, what will be done? So once you are aware about why is the system being developed, that is you are aware about what is the aim of your system, the next question that you will ask is, what will be done? What will be the functionalities of this system, right? So at the end of this question, what will be the work product or what will be the answer that you will get? You will get the list of requirement. What are the functional requirements and what are the non-functional requirement of your system? The next W which is attached is, when will it be accomplished? So what will be the actual answer? Exactly, you will get the schedule of your system, right? Because we know why are we developing the system, we know what are we going to develop into the system. Now when will it be developed? So if you have an answer to this question, it means you will have the schedule for the system. The next W which is attached is, who is responsible? Now who is responsible, what does this mean? Who is responsible for every task? Because there are various tasks which is involved in the software development life cycle. Someone is designing, someone is analyzing, someone is implementing, someone is testing, someone is communicating, right? So there are myriad tasks that are attached to software development life cycle process. Who is responsible for what task? So at the end of this question, what will be your answer? Yes, you will have the roles and responsibilities clear. Okay. The next question that is being asked in W5HH is, where are they organizationally located? They, who is this they? This is a pronoun which is targeting this who, right? It means once you are identifying who are the people who are attached to your software development life cycle. For example, you are getting the team members who are going to develop the actual system, who are doing the coding. Now the other question asks that if they are the developers, where are they organizationally located, what is their position, right? Because there will be a team. For example, if you have a development team, there will be some developers who are junior level developers, there will be some developers who are senior level developers, there will be someone who is a project leader, there will be someone who is a project manager. So there is a particular location of every person in your organization. You have to take into consideration that where are these people organizationally located, right? So these are the 5 W's and the 5 questions that will yield you to some of the aspect of the project management. Now we have completed the 5 W's, 2 H are remaining. What is the first H? The first H is, how will the job be done technically and managerially, right? So this basically indicates the process of your development, right? So what is the process model that you are following? How will be the job done technically? What are the activities that will be done? How are they be going to done, right? Whether that is technically or managerially. So we'll get the overall process, that is the technical process as well as the management process at the end of this question. The next H is how much of each resource is needed. So this is also the last question of W5HH principle, wherein you will get the answer that what are the number of people that are required, that is human resource which is required, what is the cost, right? So that is the budget that is required, what is the software resources that are required, what are the hardware resources required, right? What is the technical resources that is required. So basically the quantitative data of each resource will be the answer for this particular question. So now you can get an idea that W5HH principle is nothing but there are 7 questions to be asked before you commence the project, and the answer to this each question leads you to some of the project management aspect. Okay, now let us further move on to other project management characteristic. So whenever you are dealing with the project management, there are 4 P's which are by default you can say related to project management. Now let us study what are these 4 P's. The first P in project management is people. In every software industry, or you can say in hardware industry also, the main focus is on people, right? So what are the people that you are going to deal with? What are the people that are going to make your project? What are the people who are going to use your project? So there are people involved in every aspect of software development, right? So you know that there is a customer, there is a developer, there is a user that is involved to your project directly or indirectly, right? So you have to take into consideration all these people and then go further for choosing the process model, right? For example, it is a possibility that the developers that you have taken for the particular project, they are not very skilled in a particular technology which is to be taken into consideration in this particular project, right? So if they are not skilled in the technical aspect or the technology which they are going to use, what will happen? It is a possibility that there may be many errors in the project. For that you may have to incorporate all the training sessions, right, from the expert. That expert you may that may be inbuilt in your company, or you may call someone from outside, right? So this is to be done, right? Training the people is one of the aspect of people management. The next thing is you have to motivate the people, MOI principle, right? Motivation, organization and innovation. That is the basic principle of a project manager. You have to motivate the people who are working in your company so that they don't give up, right? They don't give up on the project, they don't give up on the company. You want the people to be highly motivated. For that you have to appreciate them. You have to give some rewards. You have to make them understand the main motive behind completing this project as a success, right? The next is organization. There should be a proper organization, there should be a proper hierarchy that you are following for the people, because without a hierarchy everything will be messed up. And innovation. There should be a discipline which is attached inside your people, but you should also make them you can say motivated, so that there is some sort of innovation. For example, there is a startup, right? And if you are a startup company, innovative ideas are always welcome in a startup company, wherein you are developing everything from scratch, right? There is no predefined rules and regulations. So you may motivate the developers, even the junior level developers, to so if you have a startup company, you may have people who are telling you that there are some innovative ideas in their mind. You have to motivate them in such a way that they can freely talk with the senior level managers, right? So this is people in project management. That is the very important P in project management, and for this a whole, you can say, capability maturity model. People capability maturity model is developed in software industry. Now let us study in this P further. Okay, what are the stakeholders which are associated directly or indirectly with every software engineering product? The first is senior level managers. Now senior level managers includes your project managers. This includes your you can say chief managers, that is the CEO of your company, right? So these are the persons who are taking the financial decisions. They are taking the decisions of who will be included in the project, who will be excluded from the project, right? So senior level managers should be such that they have decision making capability. They should be very firm about the decisions. They should be very confident about the decision. At the same time, they should motivate their junior level people. Okay, the next set of stakeholders is the actual technical project managers who are managing different projects, right? So there will be a project manager, there will be a project leader who is below project managers. So that project manager has to motivate the project leader, so that project leader can in turn motivate the team members, right? So I have already discussed MOI strategy that applies to the project manager as well as the team leader. The next is practitioner. Now the practitioners are the actual implementers, the normal junior level developers who code. They are your, you can say, the base of your project, who is going to develop your project. So it is very necessary to please them, to appraise them, to motivate them, so that they work in such an environment. You don't want the environment to be frenzied, right? You want the environment to be highly motivated, so that the practitioners are always encouraged to do the work. Okay, the next are the customers. Now customers are basically your client who is paying you for the product. Okay, so obviously you are telling to customer that customer is God, but you have to treat them in such a way. If customer is requesting something, you have to take that into consideration. You have to listen to the customer and you have to act accordingly. There is a possibility that all the needs of customer cannot be accommodated, right? Later on in the testing stage, if customer is changing one of the major requirement, you cannot do that. But you cannot bluntly say to the customer that no, this will not be incorporated. That is not a way to deal with customers, because customer is someone who is paying you, right? So you have to give reason, you have to give all the explanation to the customer that why this thing cannot be incorporated, and you have to give alternative solutions as well, so that customer is happy, right? Because you want the customer to come back to you eventually. And the last is end user. Now there is a possibility that in some of the cases customer are the people who are going to use your product, but in some of the cases customer is not equal to end user. Now who is end user? End user are people who are actually going to use your product. Okay, so whenever you are developing a product, you have to take into consideration all the characteristics of the end user and then develop a product. The end user may be novice user, they may be children, right? So you have to develop the aesthetic, you can say the methodology of using the software should be such that it is user friendly, that is, it is end user friendly. So these all are the stakeholders which are associated with any software development. Now let us study some of the basic team structures which are followed in software industry. So there are basic 3 team structures which are followed. The first one is chief programmer team, the second one is democratic team, and the third one is mixed team. So this is basically the hierarchy, that is how will the people communicate with one another in your organization. That is a team structure, and normally these team structures are followed. Let us study each of them. The first team structure is chief programmer team. Now if you have a chief programmer team structure, so at the highest you have project manager. Now because the name suggests that he or she is a chief programmer, so if you want to communicate, all the software engineers are directly reporting to the project manager, right? There is no free flow of communication that is, there is no horizontal communication between the software engineers themselves. Instead, they have to follow a hierarchy. Even if there is someone who is on upper side, that is, if there is a chief executive officer, right, if there is a CEO of your company, and if the software engineer want to convey something to CEO, they cannot directly go and tell to CEO. Everything should follow a proper channel. The hierarchy is a strict hierarchy in which the communication is vertical, and it has to follow all the, you can say, roadblock. This is a roadblock. You have to convey everything to the project manager will convey it to the CEO. So what are the advantages of chief programmer team structure? Whenever you have a chief programmer team structure, the basic advantage of this is there will be a discipline in your organization, right? No internal, you can say, conflicts will arise. There will be a proper channel which is being followed, so there will be no confusion of who is talking to whom, because I know that whom I have to report, right? So that is very clear. When you have projects which do not require very innovative ideas, or which have very, you can say, old school or strict atmosphere, right, there you can follow this chief programmer team structure. It is well and good, right? So if you have past project, that is similar past project which you are currently performing, then it is okay. Now what is the disadvantage of chief programmer team structure? The basic disadvantage is you are not freely communicating with each other, which may be frustrating at times, right? For example, if here also, if there was a team leader in between the project manager and the software engineer, if the software engineer does something good, software engineer is obviously going to report it to the team leader, and team leader will convey to the project manager, and project manager will convey to the CEO. Now every person is not good. They may be selfish at times. So there will be some things which software engineers has performed, but the upper person will show that the things that software engineers have performed are because we have instructed them to do so, right? So everybody can modify the truth and represent it to the higher level. So that is one of the disadvantage of this structure, because it is a very strict structure. There is no free flow of ideas. If there is something to be innovation, like innovation is there, you cannot have innovation in chief programmer team structure, right? The next type of team structure is democratic team. Now what is democratic team? Democratic team is a team in which everybody can communicate with everybody, right? Democracy, it means everybody has a right to communicate. So if there is a software engineer, he can communicate with another software engineer. If there is a software engineer, he can communicate with the project manager. If there is a software engineer, he can communicate with the tester. So there is no, you can say, rules and regulations of who is reporting whom, who is communicating with whom. Everything is flowing freely. All the ideas are flowing freely. Now, what are the advantages and disadvantages of democratic team? The main advantage of democratic team is it is a very lenient structure. It does not have any strict hierarchy. So free flow of ideas is there. If innovation is your main concern, if you have a startup, democratic team always helps to freely, motivate the ideas to flow. Obviously, there will be no wrong representation, because I am directly communicating with my project manager or CEO. So I will be representing what I think. Nobody else is representing on my behalf. So no truth is modified. That is also one of the advantage of democratic team. So these are the advantages of democratic team. The basic disadvantage is it may be chaotic, right? Mess may create if the project has to follow a strict deadline. I don't know whom to consult, I don't know whom to report. So I am communicating with everybody, and it may be a big chaos and the project may fail. So democratic team is not good for every type of project, right? Now the last type of team structure is mixed team. So this is a combination of both of the teams. So we have a vertical communication as well as the horizontal communication. So at top you have project managers, there are senior managers who are reporting to the project managers, and there are software engineers who are reporting to the senior managers. Also the software engineers are communicating with each other. So there is a vertical as well as horizontal communication in mixed team structure. Whenever it is required, you are communicating horizontally, but if not, you are communicating vertically. So it is a very disciplined structure which is also allowing you the free flow of ideas. So mixed team is better in almost all the conditions of software development, right? Now the next P of project management after your people is product. Let us study what do you mean, or what are the different things that you need to study in product. The first thing is you have to be clear about what is the product to be developed and why it is to be developed. So the product objective and scope should be very clear. Now what do you mean by scope in your project management or product? Scope of product, it means the boundaries. What all things you are going to include in your product, that should be very clear, and what things you are not going to include. So that is a boundary that I have to establish, that what are the functionalities and features I will be including, and what are the constraints, and what are the functionalities I am not going to include. So that should be very clear in your product objective. The next is you have to consider alternative solutions, that if this functionality does not work in this way, what next? So you must have the alternative solutions for all the work product. You must have a definite cost estimation and schedule. Now it is a possibility, because it is an estimation, the schedule is also an estimated schedule, the cost is also an estimated cost. So it is a possibility that it will change over the course of time, but there should not be a higher deviation. You should try to reduce the deviation between the actual cost schedule and the estimated cost and schedule. The next is you have to plan for the risk management. You have to estimate what are the risks that can probably occur in your product, and how will you manage that risk. That is also to be taken into consideration. And the last is WBS, that is work breakdown structure, or you can say task breakdown structure. What are the tasks to be completed in your product, and that whole structure should be developed while you are taking your software product into consideration, because we know that you can divide the things and do it with a high quality instead of doing everything at once. So you have a whole product, you are dividing that into multiple tasks, and you are assigning that task to different people, right? So that is a task breakdown structure that you have to follow. After software product, the next P, that is the third P after people and product, is process. So you know what is a process, right? We have already studied what do you mean by a process, what do you mean by the process model, what are the different process model that you have to follow. So that is also one of the important thing in software project management. So yes, the process consists of all the framework activities, that is communication, planning, modeling, deployment, right? All the activities that you have already studied, that is the framework activities. It consists of all the supporting, or you can say umbrella activities also. The next, it contains all the quality assurance techniques that you are applying in your framework activities, and the actual management of the software, that how will this process be commenced, right? So the overall activity of framework activities, umbrella activities, quality management, the overall management is known as your software process. The next is or you can say the last P is project itself. Now if you are developing a project, the main thing you have to take into consideration is you don't want your project to be a failure. So how can you avoid the project to be a failure? The first is you have to avoid common warnings. If you are avoiding common warning sign, whenever you are developing your software, there are common warning signs that your project may be a failure. For example, if your project is to be completed in, let's say, 4 weeks, and you are already in your 7th week and half of your project is completed, is this a warning sign? Obviously this is a warning sign that your project is in jeopardy. It can be a failure. if you are avoiding such common warning sign, if you are not taking any steps against such sign, it is obviously going to fail. So whenever you encounter the common warning sign, you have to take some steps, necessary steps, right? The next is you have to understand what are the critical success factors of every software development, and you have to take those success factors into consideration and work upon those success factors. For example, one of the success factor of any project in software industry is to satisfy the customer, and for that you have to develop a product which is quality product. So if you are compromising the quality of your product, if you are developing the software in haphazard way, in a messy way, without any quality consideration, then you are neglecting the success factor, and that may ultimately lead to the project failure. Even though you are delivering a project to the customer, if it is not a quality project, customer will not, you can say, not be satisfied, right? So your reputation is at stake. And the last thing is you have to properly plan, control and monitor the project, right? So overall project management is very necessary if you want your project to be successful. So planning. So it is very important that you plan the schedule, you plan the budget, you plan the resources, you plan the work. Everything should be planned. Everything should have an estimate. You have to plan it, you have to control it. If you are actually in the cycle of software development life cycle, you have to control if there is any deviation in these particular estimation as well as the actual work. Also you have to monitor that whatever control strategy is being applied, is it applied correctly? Is the strategy a quality strategy? Is the quality assurance team making sure that the quality is maintained? Is the controlling done in a proper way? Is the planning being followed or not? Right. So this is the monitoring that has to be performed because you don't want your project to be a failure. So these were the 4 P's: people, product, process and project. And this was all about today's lecture. Thank you.